Welcome. So Deltarune fans probably remember the term Deltarune tomorrow, including myself. Well, now I can finally say MEWGENICS tomorrow! Um, this following video will include MEWGENICS spoilers, or I'll mostly talk about mechanics in the game. So yeah. So here's the introduction. Eugenics is a video game that I believe has two halves. These halves interplay with each other, but they are quite different, even in perspective. The first half is a cat breeding sim where you own a family of cats that live in your house, and the other half is the meat of the game, a roguelike tactical RPG that is similar to the Magic the Gathering in some aspects. And I kinda know what it is, but I haven't played Magic the Gathering myself, so I'm not really sure. And the roguelike health is played in runs, like the genre it is, and the consequences of each one affects your house full of cats and also vice versa. So yeah, it's an interesting game by Adam McMillan and Tyler Glaliel, both of which made epic games like The Binding of Isaac and The End is Nigh. Also, before I start with the video essay that most of you might not be interested in, wishlist me eugenics and look out for tomorrow when the game releases, because I will stream on Twitch and it will be a wild ride. I cannot stress about how excited I am for the game, so without further ado, let's start my first full topic video, and I have readied my full script and it's very long, so let's go. Da 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 da. Chapter 1. A Cat Breeding Simulator. This half is the story, the interludes between runs, and the amazing foundation to the breeding part of the game. You will control a house full of cats with different sexualities, disorders, and mutations. And at the end of each day, a single person button, the cats will fight, breed with each other, and starve if not given any food. Each cat usually take 1 unit of food, and to get more food you have to buy from the local P-Mart or go out on an adventure. Inbreeding also exists in this game, so it will mostly give you bad birth defects, so keep your related cats away from each other. These different stats are part of each room. Stimulation stat affects inheritance of stats and abilities. Health stat can heal your cats. These stats increase or decrease by amount of cats, poop, and furniture. These furnitures can be bought by an NPC, which I'll get to soon, and placed around your house during the furniture placement mode. Remember to keep an eye on the comfort stat too, because if it's low or negative, then the cat's gonna fight, and if it's high positive, then your cat's gonna breed more, which is usually always good. So now let's talk about the NPCs. These different characters have their own humor, problems, and interests, but most importantly for a cat owner like you, upgrades and rewards. Each NPC requires different type of cats with different conditions. Some examples are Frank, a hobo who wants to retire cats, which I'll explain in a later chapter, and will upgrade your house to become bigger. Tracy also wants your cats that are 5 days or older. In this game, that means that the cats are old, I think. And to upgrade the store to sell more storage for food. That's what Tracy does for you. Oh yeah, also in the beginning you can only hold up to 100 food units. And yeah, Tracy, the animal friend, will expand it for you if you donate cats to her. And I think that's the basic overview on the first half of the game. Probably not. That was a lot of these details to process, but hopefully the images made it easier. So let's get to the next chapter. Chapter 2, the roguelike part. This part is long, let me tell you that. It's the longest part, of course, and it will be a lot to talk about. So first of all, this other half, which is really the meat of the game and most action-packed, is made up in runs, and these runs might go through the same areas or setup, but each time your cats and experience will always differ. So right before a run, you can select up to 4 cats from your house and depart. Then you can assign classes to each cat, which are similar to characters in The Binding of Isaac in some aspects. and each class have their own pool of abilities and passives that are usually game-breaking, and each class focuses on different tactics. One example is the fighter, a dumb cat that will absolutely punch your foes to death and bruise them, doing the next attacks stronger. Another example is the mage, a smart cat that will use different elemental spells to control the environment and assign stats like burn or wet. After you have assigned each cat separate classes, you may then give them items from previous runs to suit them up for this adventure. And items work just like in The Binding of Isaac, but are not as strong or important, and range from either common to very rare. There are also curse items which you can't take off after equipped by a cat. Then when your party of cats are full suited and ready, you can start the actual run. So in the beginning, your cats will enter the alley, the first area in the game. Your party will be named something, and one cat will become the alpha, which might be important. The map is mostly linear and similar to Slay the Spire, with all the nodes ranging from combat to events. And this map, even though this map shows only one area at a time, which is also equivalent to a chapter in the run, each run can go up to at least 3 chapters, similar to the Binding of Isaac. There's a mini-boss in each area, of which after you've beaten it, you can choose to continue the normal way, or take the hard path, which will yield more rewards but has tougher enemies. And in the end of each area, you will fight the boss of said area. And then if you succeed, you might choose to go home, or continue the run to the next chapter. Oh my god, I'm losing my words. I will first go over the event notes, because it seems to fit the current subtopic. So an event might immediately affect your party or the run, but mostly it will require you to do a skill check. So one random cat in your party will be randomly chosen for that event, and it will give you options. Most of the options will require you to do a skill check, which is based off the different stats that your cats have. Quick side tangent, the different stats are strength, dexterity, constitution, intelligence, speed, charisma, and luck. So if one option has the intelligence icon, then that means that the higher intelligence that cat has, then it's more likely to succeed. Each option has 4 outcomes based on luck and respective stats. The outcomes are critical fail, fail, success, and critical success. But it's not always bad to pick the seemingly worst option, because it might give you disorders or mutations. It depends, and I'll get more into that. Now we've talked about events, and now we're moving on to combat, which is the meat of the roguelike part. Combats are made up in runs, just like any other turn-based tactical strategy game, and each unit, both cats and enemies, are assigned an initiative based on their speed. The initiative affects the turn order each round, from highest to lowest. Each unit gets 1 turn, or more in some cases, of which you control the cat's actions, and the enemies are controlled by the enemy AI. During a cat's turn, they usually have 1 free movement action, 1 free basic attack, but they also have their abilities and passives. And now is a good time to talk about stats further. So each cat has their own stat, as I've said before. Constitution is the one that affects cat's max HP times 4, so if you have 6 constitution, then that's 6 times 4, which is 24 HP. And it also affects how much they heal after battles. Charisma is also that cat's max mana times 3, and also how much times, or how much mana times 3 that cat starts with. Intelligence is the amount of mana that your cat regained at the end of turn. Strength affects the amount of physical damage that some melee abilities use. Dexterity is the same as strength, but for range abilities. And speed affects how far the cat can move, and also its initiative. And lastly, luck affects everything that has to do with randomness in your favor, like critical hits or attacks, and maybe less chance to miss your attacks. And then, after we've talked about the stats, I can now talk about abilities. And they are each cat's extra unique actions from their class. And this game has abilities and passives They are more important than items compared to the Bind of Isaac. And a majority of abilities require you to spend mana to use, and there are some that are free though, but limited in another way. One example is the fight ability Poke. This one deals a single unit of damage on an adjacent unit and costs free mana, which might seem bad, but it might be good in some scenarios. Then we have passives, and these aren't used like an action or an ability, but instead gives this cat a passive boost that is often very strong. For example, Hit Me. When you take damage from an ally, you can then use your basic attack or automatically use your basic attack in the direction that cat is facing. It also reduces damage from allies to only 1 damage. This means you could use some cheap ability like Poke or similar, hit that cat with that passive, and deal more damage to a specific boss or enemy in front of that cat. And remember this, each class has 50 different abilities and 25 passive each. We have a total of 1200 plus abilities and passives together. This creates a big and infinite playground for combos and builds. Okay, so let's go back to combat though. We've gone through what your cats can do. They can move, basic attack, and use any number of your abilities as long as you have enough mana. Then when you end your turn with one of your cats, they regain mana according to their intelligence. Then when all your cats and enemies have done their turn, it's the end of the round, and a new round starts going through the initiative order again. The combat continues until either all your cats are down or all enemies are dead. If you lost the combat, then you lose the entire run and the cats won't return. A cat is down when its HP reaches 0 unless they have some item or ability. A downed cat can be revived during combat and isn't lost for the entire run. Instead, when a cat is down, they get an injury, in other words, -1 permanently to a stat, and also revived after the combat if you win or survive. A downed cat can die though, for real, if it takes 3 or more hits when down, or if it had infestation, which is a debuff status effect. A downed cat also cannot take its turn. Enemies cannot be down, but when killed, they leave their body behind. But if they died by crit, or if you attack afterwards, its body will explode and maybe spawn some pickups. There are much more details about combat, like 20 plus different status effects, but I won't go over them, because this seemed like an okay basic overview of the combat, so we'll get to the next part. The rest of the nodes on the map are miscellaneous, like a node that gives you items or a node that gives you lots of food. But the hard path that exists in each chapter is optional, as I said, which yield more rewards but require more skill and strategy to survive. And combat in the hard path has champion enemies, which are bigger and tougher versions of enemies. They also have double stats and HP and take 2 turns instead. The hard path also yields another combat, so... Oh, wait, I think I forgot to explain the level ups, yeah. So, at the end of each combat, it will pick a random cat that didn't get down during that fight, and that has the lowest level. And then the game will increase the level of that cat. And when a cat levels up, it gains a small stat based on its class, and then you're given 4 options to give your cat. So you choose either from abilities, passives, and more stat increase, and the different rewards are always the same based on what level. For example, level 3 gives you a passive, level 4 gives you +2 to random stats, and yeah, okay, back to the talk about hard path. There is an extra reward for the hard path, which is unique to each chapter. For example, Ali has a node that gives you lots of food, the one I talked about earlier. Okay, so at the end of a run, in other words, an adventure, your cat will go home and become retired. Retired cats can be sent out on an adventure again, but will be useful for something else. Do you remember when I said that the NPC Franks want retired cats? Yeah, that's what I meant with retired cats. Your items that you found during the adventure can also be stored for later runs, but your item storage has limited spaces, so you have to work out what you want to save. I think this concludes the quote-unquote basics of the second half of MEWGENICS. Of course it wasn't basic, I yapped too much in this topic video. So yeah, next chapter. Chapter 3, Tie Up the Loose Ends. So in this chapter I will go through essentially the extra details and tie up the loose ends. So remember that your cats that are retired after an adventure cannot go out again. Well, they are useful though for breeding and for house bosses. So when two cats breed with each other, the kitten that they make has a chance to inherit one ability and /or one passive. So that poke ability and hit me passive could basically be passed on to the next generation and used in a new adventure. But this is where one of my favorite mechanics comes in that connects both halves of the game, and that is multi-classing. So, if a cat has a colored ability, or passive, in other words from a specific class, you can assign them a new class when you depart on a new adventure. So you could have a mage cat that would probably shoot magic arrows on target in front of it when you use another fighter to activate the hit me passive that the mage cat has. And I really like this because it opens up so many possibilities to combine different passives together and create broken builds. One example that I found out when I started pieces is an insane crit build that requires lot of setup and that also is broken. So, if you breed a cat with the disorder autism and poke, then you get a cat that can use poke with the cost of only 1 mana. And then if you assign that cat with a thief class, you can then find the critical passives, which makes the crit stronger. And lastly, you can also find the Might of the Meek, which will tie it all together. This passive makes attacks you deal that are 2 or less damage always crit. And do you now see the insane combo? Because this means that you can pay 1 mana to deal 3 damage to a unit, including getting 1 extra luck by the crit. And also you get more mana thanks to the intelligence boost from autism. And remember, this is just one of at least thousands of different combos and builds. But yeah, it was one that I could think of. Another thing that retired cats also are used for, except being donated to the NPCs, is fighting house bosses. At some point in the game, mighty cats will decide to challenge your home and force you to defend the family with only your experienced cats, aka retired cats. And these house bosses are strong not to play with, because if you lose, those cats that you sent out might have not continued its bloodline. And oh yeah, I also mentioned autism as a passive just now. Well, this game has disorders, birth defects, and mutations, believe it or not. And when it comes to those things that exist in real life, Edmund made sure to make everyone feel included and gave them a silver lining to always have some upside, except birth defects. Also, I think Tyler made some ideas, maybe, I'm not sure. So yeah, autism has its downsides, like the charisma down and more expensive abilities that you gain later, but also upsides, like more intelligence and cheaper abilities that you were born with. So yeah, these disorders pretty much give you some kind of effect that makes sense for that disorder. Like for example, ADHD gives you lots of speed, but makes it so your cat has a timer of 5 seconds to decide what to do, because otherwise it would decide to do what itself, like an AI. So that's not good. And then when it comes to mutations, these are obtained in various ways, and instead of being a passive like disorders, it is instead assigned as body parts. So for example, we have melted head that replaces your head and gives you strength 2 or +2 strength, but also decreases your luck. They are very different because they might either be good or bad. And then last we have birth defects, which are mostly obtained by inbreeding. In other words, related cats breed with each other. Birth defects are only or mostly supposed to be bad, and it's not encouraged at all. Most importantly in this game is that it's very open and invites every type of players. You can choose to take it slow and take every pickup and coins in combat, or speedrun each combat to get more rewards, because efficiency equals reward in this game. You can choose to breed 100 cats in your house and create a poopy cat arena in your house where cats fight each other and gain bonuses. Or you could choose to donate all your cats except the 2 best and breed a new family of cats. The possibilities are endless. For the outro, oh my god, my throat. My throat, it's amazing. It's not amazing, of course. So here, outro. Here's the outro. Thanks for watching. So please stay here. I'm gonna talk about some small details. So I would say this concludes my 23 minutes or about 20 minutes long topic video. My first one, number 1. And it's been fun to talk about this topic, especially considering that eugenics is going to be my YouTube channel's second nature. And also, by the way, I should make short scripts next time because most of the things I've said is directly from my script, and it's 16,000 characters, and I'm really tired. Like, that took 7 hours to write the whole script. I don't know why I did that. I just didn't want to do it with small support words. Instead, I just did whole sentences. And also, please wishlist MEWGENICS if you thought this topic video was interesting, and also thank you for watching this far. I really appreciate it. So write peeps in the comments to prove this. And also like and subscribe if you want to support my work. You don't have to. And I have one last thing to tell, so don't leave yet. MEWGENICS tomorrow. Like, that's crazy. And I'll stream it when it releases on Twitch. But sure, I will stream it when it releases, but you can also check out me earlier around 6 AM PST or 2 PM EST, because I will be streaming earlier and play some other games. So yeah, until then, I'll see you then. Now leave this video and sleep, it's coming soon, trust me! Swooshy is frog. That's the end of the video. Amazing. I don't know why you're watching this anyways.